it's time to heal and feel, be real. You just gotta take your time, unwind and chill. Cause now it's time to love yourself. Build emotional and mental health. Cause Black woman, it's time to heal and feel, be real.
Me Skincare is an all-natural skincare brand built by a Black woman by the name of Minnie. Minnie, being a mother, just wanted to help her daughter who was struggling with eczema. She used all natural remedies at home to find and created homemade solutions that not only soothed her child's discomfort, but also healed it completely. Me Skin's mission is simple yet profound: to provide soothing, corrective, and comforting skincare solutions to parents worldwide whose children suffer from eczema and similar skin conditions. If you know anyone who suffers from eczema, you know how it can be so detrimental to one's confidence. It's very irritating, and it's just very annoying. So if you know someone, or you know someone who could use this product, please visit the link in our description and support Me Skincare.
Hey y'all, we're back with another episode of Black Woman Healing Podcast. But before we jump in, we are going to introduce our guest. Our special guest today is Shawniel. She is an award-winning licensed therapist, business coach, and the visionary owner of Healing Springs Wellness Center, a pioneering holistic counseling and wellness practice. With a bachelor's degree in psychology from Connecticut. Sorry, the C's be messing me up, y'all. From Southern Connecticut State University and a master's in clinical social work from Fordham University, she has garnered over 15 years of clinical expertise. Recognized as a true luminary in her field, Shawniel has earned multiple awards, including the prestigious Black People's Honors Award and the Healthcare and Life Sciences Award for her outstanding leadership in wellness and well-being. Her expertise has been sought by numerous prominent platforms, leading to features in renowned publications such as Yahoo, AP News, Fox 61 News, and CW20 Connecticut. Notably, she has also shared her insight as a guest on various influential shows, including Checking In with Destiny Child's Michelle Williams and illustrious institutions like Yale. That was a lot because, as you can hear, she is amazing. So excuse me for my errors because my tongue and my brain was not going together. It was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. So, yes, as y'all hear, that is our guest. And as usual, we are going to jump into a this or that. So, I am on day 37 of the 75 hard. And so, in honor of that, I am going to ask a this or that around forming habits. So, thinking of some habits, I feel like the common ones that we hear are reading and working out. So, I'm going to ask you two, for an hour every day, would you rather work out or read a book? Whoever wants to go can just jump in.
I would say, I'm not gonna lie, I would read a book, and it's probably not gonna be anything like educational in an hour.
So what type of book would you pick?
There's a writer now, Kennedy Ryan. She has like the best love stories,
Yeah.
and I'm just always in it.
Yes.
Yeah, like I'm a self-help junkie, but like sometimes you just need that escape.
Yes. I actually just started a Kennedy Ryan book today on my Spotify, and I cannot think of the name, but I was just listening. I was like, oh, I see the hype. Like, it's not like really good. Okay.
I never heard of Kennedy Ryan. Is it a certain genre? Like, what is it?
Black romance.
No, I don't know.
It's deep, very complex like clients, and you're just like, not clients, I'm speaking as a therapist, characters. And you're just like, tell me more. You just, good narration.
Ooh. So it's a story?
Multiple books.
Oh, I'll look into that as well.
Kennedy Ryan, that's crazy.
Maybe if I see the book. I feel like a lot of times it's kind of like, or what's the title? Maybe if I seen a title. So you know how like sometimes you see a book and you be like, oh, I've seen that before, but that name, never heard of it. I'm gonna look into it though. So I feel like I don't know. I think I don't want to do either one. I like to have a choice. Like if I had to, like, because sometimes it might be reading, sometimes I might choose the hour, depending on the day.
Yeah.
But if I had to choose, I'm gonna choose reading. I'm not gonna lie, it's because I'm lazy. I don't want to be forced to have to go if I don't want to go. But reading, if I'm forced to read, I'd rather be forced to read. And I have all types of different books over here, so I'll just pick up something. Reading sometimes makes me sleepy, even when it's good. So that's the only thing. I might take a little midday nap while
Good for
I
your
read this.
soul. Yeah, that relaxation. Good for your soul.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
What
my.
about you, Myra?
I'm gonna pick the working out. Just
I knew you
because
was gonna say
there's
that
so many different
75
forms
day
of
hard.
no, because there's so many different forms of working out. Like it doesn't have to be sweating. It could be that you did yin yoga, which is like relaxing and that can help you sleep. It could
That's
be how I did aerial yoga the other day. It could be something like that. It's so many different options. Whereas I feel like reading, I love reading, but I don't want to read every day. I barely like reading for work every day. Like when I do a note, I'd be clicking stuff and I'd be like, what I just do? Yeah, I don't need to do no notes right now. I don't want to read every day like that. No. Mm-mm.
that's fair. You know what's funny?
But
We technically read every day and we work out every day. If you look at it like what you just saying, we're reading right now. You moving your head right now. We're working out. If we're gonna use it that way.
That's a good way to look at it. But I commend you for doing 75 hard. So I'm just like, go girl. That's awesome.
Oh,
yes, like
Myra, no,
yoga,
for real.
like I'm like, does moving my mouth and my hand to eat, does that count as a workout? Like this feels like a lot of working out.
At this point,
Anyway, y'all, we're gonna go ahead and jump into the episode. So today we're gonna be chatting about the political climate. And so to even kick us off, can you give us an overview of how you even personally would describe today's political climate?
Yes, I feel like it is highly charged and deeply polarized. There is just a lot of information, even misinformation happening where sometimes you feel like you can't even scroll on social media without seeing a lot of political information. And is that true? And sometimes, like your logic, you're like, maybe that's not true, but your emotions and your nervous system is like, oh my God, there's another political change or executive order in place. And that's causing so much stress and anxiety, especially for marginalized communities, which a lot of these policies are affecting. So it's too much. Honestly, I think every day from news and social media, you can't escape it.
yeah, yeah, no, definitely. It's a lot of information. You kind of mentioned it about the like news, but how do you think the 24-hour news cycle and social media play a part in the political climate of marginalized communities?
Well, I think that just the environment of that constant exposure, as we talked about, of like things ever changing so quickly, and you can't really escape it because, yes, you could turn off the news, but when you go on social media, there are so many opinions and people are talking about these opinions and it's like again deciphering what is true, what is opinions, what is facts. And so there's no escape. And even if you try to, because I'm really mindful of who I follow, but it just seems like that news is just, you're just bombarded, and that can create a lot of vicarious trauma, right? Like of like, because we've already kind of experienced some of these things from a couple years ago, and the anxiety and stress. And so I've been in small doses taking breaks from social media and the news just to protect my peace, and encouraging my clients and my friends and family to do the same, for sure.
Definitely. I'm just hearing you talk about the small doses of a break. I think I did an episode a few weeks ago about it. What would you say is a good suggestion of like, well, what does your small doses look like?
Yes. So my small doses is like not, I used to wake up and check social media
Mhm.
right when I get up, and I've made it a point to get up, get my self-care on, but like basic stuff like brush my teeth, maybe even listen to music and just get set the tone so I have a good grounded baseline. And then I will check and I'll probably stay on it for like 10 minutes. And sometimes I'm not even looking at the news. I'm like, what did my horoscope say? Or like, threads, and like even threads now, like, you can contain it a little bit more. So I'm probably on other platforms that are not just bombarding me like Facebook or, sometimes Instagram. So being really selective in that sense and starting grounded, because when you are grounded, you're able to kind of look at it a little bit differently and take it in a little bit differently. Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting how, like, and even just thinking of like the 24-hour news cycle, like you said, you used to could just turn that off. You turn that off and you go about your day, and you may not even think about it anymore, about like whatever the thing was you seen on the news. But like with social media, I'm thinking of even like emails and stuff, right? Or like on my phone, like I have like my Google, and sometimes it'll just tell me different things. It's like pops up, So I'm thinking of those pieces too, where it's like you literally can't escape it. But I have been finding features like that where you can like delete it or turn it off and things like that. So I think that's a good reminder, when you can,
Yes,
right?
when you can. You can't avoid it fully, but you can try to monitor or filter it as best as you can, just to give yourself a break, because that doom scrolling is not good for your mental health as well.
Definitely. You also talked about the misinformation. So, in thinking of misinformation, sorry, do you believe misinformation or political polarizing plays a role in increasing stress levels in marginalized communities?
Yes, I think again, initially when you see something, you're thinking with your emotions first, right? So you're like, oh my goodness, this executive order or something is happening politically, or there's opinions, and you're not thinking like, let me dig deeper. Like, what is an executive order? How is that in place? Um, or am I getting just a fraction of the information? So again, if you're automatically just scrolling and not really paying attention, you may need to go and do some research. Like, how is this affecting me? And for marginalized communities, hearing like your basic needs may not be met, like you may not be able to get, for instance, food stamps or public assistance, or even student loans, like thinking about all the things that affect us economically, physically. For me, I'm a therapist. So even like, is Medicaid or, certain things going to be here? And you're just like, if you don't really think about it or you do research, you're going to go with what you see versus like, what are the facts? And that can lead to you feeling polarized and not really understanding what's truly happening. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that of like, because there is so much information, like, so imagine like, okay, you see something like you just said, executive order says that all government assistance froze, are frozen, right? Boom. You see that, you're freaking out. You're like, oh my goodness, wow, this is horrible. When really it's like, it's taken to the next, right? To the next people in like what is the word I'm looking for? The executive order, right? If we're thinking of that, like the judicial, we have three systems, right? And so do you have any, or do you know of any like credible websites or resources that people can go to for accurate information, instead of, because then you search and then it's like you go to another place that's probably giving you false information, or you go to a place where you're like, okay, this isn't clear. Like, do you have any go-tos that you go to, or any podcast that has like accurate information?
Yeah. So honestly, sometimes I will even reach out to my friends that are, like, for instance, human resource, human resource friends, my lawyer friends, because sometimes, like, as you Google, you may not understand the information. So I've been reaching out to my professional friends to kind of say, like, can you help me to unpack some of this, or have you heard of any other resources? or even on social media, being able to, again, we have a big network to be able to say, like, hey, has anyone heard anything? So, like, just trying to check the facts. I will do like Google, like the other day, I was like, what is an executive order? I'm trying to go back to civics class, history class to be like, let me unpack this, right? So maybe I'm not typing the specific thing that, the president said, but I'm like, okay, how does this go into play? Right? Like how does that work? And so it's a combination of like doing a deeper search and also leaning into your community to be like, can you help me? Have you heard anything? Right? Or can you point me in the right direction as well?
I love that. I love the piece too of leaning into your community. Like sometimes we forget, like we do have people around us who could help, right? Yeah.
Most
Yeah.
definitely. And it makes me wonder, do you feel as though like present day people are more willing to talk about politics? 'Cause I'm thinking about like the days when it was like hush hush shush, nothing to talk about here. It feels like it's more talked about, and I'm curious like your thoughts about that.
Yeah, I feel like it is definitely more talked about. But I think there's a lot of opinions. And so it's like we're talking, but it's like basically your perspective. And so there's a lot of openness. For instance, even with my team, I have a team of therapists, and we talk about like, how are you feeling about what's happening? And regardless, what are your values? So it's like our values as a practice is social justice and inclusion. So regardless of what your political affiliation, how does it affect you? How does it affect you as a human? So even unpacking that without having to get truly into like who I voted for. So I see more people talking about how it's affecting them, affecting their loved ones. And so that openness is more there. I think people are still nervous to talk about who they voted for. So you'll kind of get the back door approach more so. Yeah. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that. Like, have you seen that?
Yeah. What you about to say, Myra?
I was just gonna say, I feel like as Black people, there's an even bigger push because everywhere you go, I don't know if you're seeing this, but that 92%, or is it the 92%? The 2%ers? I can't think of what the verbiage is, but I feel what'd you say? I'm sorry.
I think it's 92, if I'm
Yes,
not
I think it's
mistaken.
92 also. But I feel like I'm so engulfed in that to where if you say anything that doesn't fall in line with that, like you can't do that, right? Especially like as a Black woman. Because all up and down my timeline, I don't know how this has happened. Like people are making shirts, they're posting it like every day, and I'm like, how did I get here? Like, who am I following again? I didn't know I follow people that were so like into politics like this. So that's how I'm seeing it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that, the community, like you leaning into your community and like-minded people, I've been seeing more of that part too, of like people, saying like I'm a 92 percenter, or like I voted for, Kamala, like, people really calling that out. But, some people quiet right now too with
Yeah.
what's going on. Yeah.
I'm even curious because you were saying that, are you in a group practice?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I'm curious how you as a therapist and the clinicians you work with, how are y'all having these conversations with clients? Because I didn't even realize this. Like I work with the majority of clients who are trans, or they're exploring what it means to be trans. They are poly. They're all, what my clients like to say, we're all a part of this alphabet. And so of course, for me, that's just like a regular thing. But now, because of the political climate, I'm having to think a little bit more about what's going on in the world. Whereas I'm not someone who checks the news. But now I'm staying more informed because my clients are coming to me saying they're having these worries. And I don't want to be like, I don't know what you're talking about. I have a little bit more understanding. And so I'm just curious, as a therapist in group practice, how are y'all kind of coming together and having conversations about prep for just supporting your clients in these things that are happening continuously? These changes.
Yeah, I think that part of like when we do have group consultation and meeting is just checking in to see how they are doing, how the therapists are doing, and processing the information and being up to date. And we're big on diversity. So we're going to get clients from all types, even people that oppose our political values. And so it's keeping an open mind, like being and being able to listen and being able to kind of hold space for how the client is feeling. So we may not know exactly all the stuff that's happening, but how are you feeling? How are you processing it? And how can I support you? Right. And validating, a lot of validation, and I tell people, what if you don't agree with that person? You can kind of give them space, but you don't need to get into the back and forth with them. So just prepping my therapist on like how to navigate the differences, but also how to support our clients that are truly like who are affected by these policies and things that are happening, and giving my therapist space to debrief and to share how they're doing so that they can continue to be that container for them, for the
Most
client.
definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm curious too, like in your experience, are you finding that political anxiety has been coming up as far as impacting families, workplace, relationships? Because I'm thinking about an experience I've been having lately with, are you familiar with red cards?
No.
Okay, so they're basically these cards that um, folks have been getting. We've been trying to pass them out. People like in the community, therapists also, just giving to folks who might be impacted by ICE. And so I found that in some communities here, people are like, no, don't pass them out. Whereas I'm like, why wouldn't we pass out a resource to people? And so that's been something that's like been continuously coming up where it's like, now I'm getting anxiety because I'm trying to do something to help people out. You making me anxious, telling me I shouldn't be doing this thing. And so it's been like a back and forth that I've been in and just like people in the community. And so I'm curious like where you are, how you're seeing people working through political anxiety.
Yeah, people are definitely anxious and stressed, and I think low key burned out with all that is going on. So I do see people just coming in, and they're just like, I can't sleep. All the symptoms that are happening. I can't sleep. I'm having discord and negative like conflict with family members because they have opposing political beliefs, or um, I'm concerned if I'm going to have my job, right? Like true things happening. And then one of my clients was like, how are you labeling me in your system? Because I'm concerned on what that looks like, right? So a lot of education, a lot of support, a lot of like grounding tools and self-awareness of like, how's that anxiety being stored in your body, your emotions, what support do you need from us, from your community of like-minded individuals, right? So that you can have space to share what is happening, right, outside of therapy, and just coping and just validation. And so it is happening more than usual, but we've been here before with this president, with all the racial trauma, all the things. So we just continue to show up and support our clients and take care of ourselves, right, to keep that going, because the best thing that you can do is get it out, to really talk about it. Yeah.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it could feel very heavy. Like it's fair enough. Like been through. I mean, and thinking of history in general, like marginalized communities have been through a lot. But it's just heavy talking about it even right now, and I can feel it. I'm just like, oh. And so thank you so much for sticking in with us. At the end of our episodes, we do a takeaway. This could be anything you want to give to the listeners. Anything you can think of, you can leave it with us.
Well, I want to one say that what you are experiencing and feeling is truly valid. It is difficult, what we are experiencing today, and the misinformation, the polarization, and just a high level of anxiety. So give yourself grace. It's important that you lean into community, lean into the like minded people that will validate you and support you. If you don't have a therapist, it might be good to find a culturally sensitive therapist and ground yourself, right? So, deep breathing, do things for relaxation, whether it's working out or reading a book. Find things that you can center in joy, because there's still pockets of joy that we can find even in times of chaos. And that's going to sustain you because, we're going to be here. We've survived a lot and we will survive this. So just lean into that and just acknowledge self-awareness. And I hope that helps.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We hope you all enjoyed this episode of Black Women Healing Podcast. We'll be back with another episode next Monday.